Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Satisfactory. I'm AxionEvolved, and last time we worked on our aluminum setup. In the last episode, we got a really cool, I think really cool little Titan Forest train station set up over there. And yeah, so we're going to continue on with a lot of that, and that's pretty much it. So let's hop right into this. All right, so there's a bunch of stuff we have to address, right? Number one, 1.1 is out on the experimental branch right now. I've heard about some bugs with it, and I'm not really willing to, I guess, play around with that just yet. I don't think it'll be on experimental for too much longer. I don't know, maybe like another month or so by the time this comes out. But if you guys want to see kind of messing around with some stuff, then let me know down below, and we can at least see how things will, let's say, update. I'm super excited about a lot of the decorative stuff because I think that'll really help out the builds a lot. But there are some things, like if we look over here, especially maybe not the fronts, well, I guess I don't know which side's the front side, but if we look at like our blueprint right here, this whole module, you know what, let me just open up in the blueprint designer. So if we specifically look right here where we're taking the aluminum scrap and we're kind of swapping it out, with the new, especially with the new vertical splitters, this would be a lot easier to do, right? Because you can see, like, I'm splitting this into two different levels from this splitter right here. And in the future, what I'll be able to do is just kind of, literally have a lift from this belt up. And then I could put a splitter there. But then in the middle, like right about here, I'd also be able to just slap a splitter right onto that lift and go out this way, right? So I think more compact designs are definitely in the cards with the with some of the stuff. Other than that, there's a lot of like different beams and shelves and all kinds of stuff. And like when it comes time to kind of start really decorating stuff around here, because this already looks really good, and I want to do a little bit more to it. And we'll kind of talk about that as we go, especially with this area over here, which we'll be addressing today. But there's definitely a lot of different things that I want to kind of mess with and just see how it all works. But I don't really want to risk. I also don't want to put too much. Let's say I don't want to put too much content into the experimental branch just in case something goes wrong. I know you can back up saves and do all that, but I don't know. We'll see. Maybe we'll see about messing around with it. But anyway, today what we need to do is expand. We got these two train lines for the most part hooked up. We need to get this guy going, and for that, it means we're gonna have to go to the swamp. So let's kind of run over there, and I'll show you what I mean by dealing with the swamp. All right, so for those of you that don't know, this is the swamp. I'll kind of show you where we are on the map here. So this area right here, and this is home to a lot of different things. Number one, danger. It's dangerous everywhere. Number two, the next set of bauxite nodes I think we're gonna get. I think there's more bauxite, so I don't think this is the last one. I think there's more up in here maybe. Don't quote me on that, though, but I think there might be a little bit more that it will eventually have to get to. But for now, the swamp is going to be kind of our main target. We got the pink/red forest area covered. We got the Titan Forest nodes. And so this is the next natural kind of progression on where we're going to get our bauxite, right? So just to kind of orient you a little bit, right? Right, so that's our compacted coal factory that's feeding our Blue Crater Lake. We have our train line. You can kind of see it. Oh, speaking of photo mode in the new update, that is definitely something I'm interested in testing and kind of doing, because I think it'll be a lot of fun to kind of build these like recap shots where you're just kind of doing the dolly and all that kind of stuff, like blah blah blah, right? So anyway, I just zoomed in on our train line that's gonna be right there. It's a little bit farther back, right? But that's the one that just kind of goes right through the Blue Crater Lake, and I hear enemies everywhere. So what we're going to do, we have a couple different sites here. So right over here, this is the first bauxite site that we're going to be kind of going to. And I think we got an impure and a normal, right? So in other words, a 600 and a 300 line, right? But then the other one, if we kind of pay attention, it's like somewhere out, you can kind of see it right there, right over here. Now, like I mentioned, this area is super dangerous. But there's a lot of resources out here too, right? There's just like a ton of iron. There's tons of crash sites, but you can see like the big hogs, like alpha hogs, big beans everywhere, right? you've got like the radioactive spider. So if you're coming in here and you're not flying around like I am, like be prepared. just be prepared. You know, like radioactive hog. So anyway, I think here we go. This is going to be our next thing. So we've got, this will be what, a 1200. So that's a big boy. This will be a 600. And I believe we have another impure one right here, right? Yeah. Okay. So all in all, we're going to have, this is 2 cars, 3 cars, another 600 there is 4 cars, and these 2 300s, these 2 impures will be 5 cars. So we're going to have a 5-car line coming in here. Now, logistics, right? There's a few things that I want to take into account, both on the macro and the micro scale. Number 1, I'm going to have the train line probably come in. There's a couple different ways, honestly. You can come in through that way, which kind of wraps, if you're looking at it, like around where we are. I hear skittering. Look at that. That's what I mean. Look at that. So you can come in through there. I want to come in through right here, though. I think this is a cool little pass. And again, at some point, you know, if I ever release these worlds, I want you to be able to just kind of like hop on a train and have it just look cool everywhere you're going, right? So I think we're going to just kind of shoot this gap right here. And, you know, we'll pass infrastructure along the way. There's some, what is this, nitrogen? Yeah. We got nitrogen. We've got just cool stuff. You know, you'll see some factories. And there's our train line right there. So I'm thinking we can kind of come down this way and just go right through that gap. The other way I was anticipating or thinking about, you know, you can kind of shoot through this gap, which will bring you around like I showed you. You can also go up this way right here. There's just a long way of saying there's a lot of different ways you can get up in here. But if you go up this way, kind of also dangerous, but a cool little area where you can kind of like shoot in this gap right here. And then, you know, you can come up there and be kind of high above everything, or you can kind of follow the terrain here, follow the fog, and shoot right up through here after I blow this up. Right, and you'd be able to shoot out kind of anywhere you want. You can kind of come over this way, which is still kind of high. You can also kind of come over this way. Oh, a summer sloop. Or you can go around and come in through this little gap right here. So that's another option, right? So right here, and then you'd be going up through this arch. I'm not going to go this way, but I think I'm going to set a train route up eventually, right? There's the cave we just blew up. So you'd come in, you'd come down, and you'd come around, right? I want rails in areas, especially because we're going to have like Sam there, and you know, there's other pathways up to different biomes that way. So I'm going to eventually want rails to be kind of like in a network around everything, right? So that's kind of the idea. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run these rails, because it's a pretty straightforward process. You guys see me run rails, but I'm really liking throwing trains everywhere. It's been a lot of fun kind of dealing with all that, and I think it looks cool too. So we're going to just run these rails. I'll probably even connect up the stations just to kind of get that all sorted out, and hopefully that all looks good. All right, so as promised, we're running the rails down here, and a little something I want to kind of show you guys. So you can still make very slight height differences if you're doing foundations and stuff. You can make these work still pretty easily, and you know, not even be able to notice. So for long flat stretches, you can't beat foundations. It's just so much better. Maybe you know, because we have like this blueprint right here. Double, nope, not that one. Train V. It's technically this, I think. Train double V, this one, right? So we have this blueprint. I'm thinking eventually, like this is a 1.1 feature, I might be able to use this and put the train tracks actually on top of it, and then use that auto connecting feature to make this run even faster. Now, of course, it makes a lot of sense for straight tracks, but I have seen some, you know, some people messing around and kind of being able to, you know, you can get like curves in there too. So that might be just the biggest game changer I've ever seen. And, you know, maybe you can even do like a, because I have this guy, right? Oh, not this one. God, I need to like get these all organized, right? But this double connector here, which is just a single one, right? Which would look really good in the the curve here. So maybe there's something that we can work out with that, right? With that stuff. But that's all 1.1 stuff. We're not too concerned with that. But we are concerned with how is this stuff all ran. So pretty basic premise here, right? So remember I mentioned micro and macro. Well, the micro is kind of what we're doing in this biome and how we're connecting everything. So kind of complicated seeming, actually. The input, so you're going to come off this way, loop around. Now, I did this because, again, I want to avoid crossing over tracks where I can. It would have been very easy to just kind of go up this way, but that's not what we want to do. And I feel like changing verticality and crossing lines this way can kind of look cool when it's all decorated, right? So I've been kind of just messing around. And again, we have like odd angles and things like that. So you're coming into this train station though, built in the bypass, of course, because again, I want to build these things with the thought process of being able to utilize the same rails for other things, right? Because if you look, limestone, there's so many resources. I don't know what it'll ping right now, probably nothing. If I were to put like oh, you know what? Watch, I can do this real quick. Just to show you like what we have around. Where is the radar tower? I'm just going to slap one down. I'll slap it down somewhere close by so we can get power from the train station. And watch. So if we look now, look at what we have around us, right? Coal, iron, limestone, geysers, oil, caterium, right? Pure oil. I didn't know that. SAM ore, like a ton of stuff, right? So eventually, you know, even uranium, right? Eventually, I'm going to need to collect all this stuff and send it somewhere else. Well, it's nice if we can use existing infrastructure, right? Like say if I want to build train stations over here, I can just run off this rail as opposed to going down and, you know, going to that station. Or I can cut it off kind of anywhere to get where we need to go. So that's kind of the idea and why I try to build with bypasses or build bypasses after the fact in mind, because you want the rail to be as, let's say, flexible as possible, right? Another thing I've started doing, I'm building this for the future, which means there's going to be inefficiencies now. And also, side note, I did this, I think, kind of cool little setup where I put the power up on these these poles here, like a beam encased thing here. I don't know. I think it's kind of cool. I just want to show that off. So anyway, so you're going to come there. This is, again, the first two stations with the 600 being first and the 300 being second, right? Yeah, you're the impure. Yeah. So this one will be a double station. You'll notice, you know, when we follow the track down here, over here. And again, we've got bypasses built in to the rails there. I have 4 stations here, even though I've only got 3, right? So we've got, again, the pure is 2. That's 1. It's going to account for these 3. But that impure right there is going to double up on this platform. So 2 300 or 2 impure nodes are going to combine into 1. And I figure like 600 per minute per car is about the max, or kind of like the default that I'm going with. So obviously nothing's decorated and hooked up yet, but I'm just kind of trying to place everything. And again, the macro, right? We're going to have the train line go through the biome, because eventually, you know, again, world spanning train network, it's going to come up here and eventually make our way into the desert, which is a biome that we have not begun to conquer. And it will be the site of some very important things. I think I'm going to put, actually, our nuclear power plant in here. And that's going to be a kind of a crazy thing. I have plans for like trains going up there, packaged water, all kinds of stuff. You guys, it's going to be a little bit stupid, maybe. Like intense and a lot of work. Hopefully cool, but just stupid. So that's kind of the idea there, right? So for now, we have this at least skeleton built, and we need to start hooking things up. So let me do that and kind of see about getting this bauxite flowing and kind of at least getting some progress on this. All right, so I'm throwing in a little bit of decorating into the mix now, and you can see kind of, you know, kind of like walling, because we're in such a dangerous area, of course, right? Trying to kind of like wall off our extraction here. I got some field lights so we can keep track of things, and just trying to throw in, this might be a little too much, and I'm not sure how much I like it or how much I want to keep it, but, you know, throwing in walkways everywhere, so that you could, in theory, get around. And I don't know. I think it's looking okay. I kind of like, you know what? I kind of like the asphalt foundations for this. They kind of blend with the frames really well. And yeah, not bad. You know, you got some ladders so you can get up and down and all kinds of stuff, right? The whole idea, I'm doing like a very Jurassic Park vibe where you're just trying to like stay above the trees and the ground and not be around the animals. But yeah, so this is, you know, it's getting there. I'm starting to do the rail decorations as well because it's honestly like very time consuming. And you can see I'm starting to kind of mark out how we're going to maybe split rail off that way. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, and then I had to do a little bit of modification here. You know, we have this, we're now going over this rail instead of under it because, you know, we have a height that we have to kind of take into account, 5 meters. And when we were going under this track, it was going to end up clipping. I hear, look at that. God, they're everywhere, man. They're everywhere. We were going to clip the trains on the supports and all that. So I decided to just move everything over here. And again, we're just starting to get all the decoration in and, you know, get things hooked up. I'm liking this platform concept where I have the storage bins under. Yeah, and then, you know, we're kind of just unified. All the miners are going onto one area and it's kind of split. And again, I am building for the future, right? So that means in the future, I would just need to come in and upgrade this belt to a Mark 6 1200, right? But I'm building it as if I already have Mark 6. So what does that mean? That means we're going to have inefficiencies in these two boxes, but we'll deal with that. You know what I mean? Like obviously filling up slower than the other ones. But yeah, anyway, that's kind of the field side. All that's really left to do is do the train support decorations, do the supports on the ground. Like I think this is looking really good. I think it like really kind of fits the vibe. You know, we're kind of above everything. God, there's so much wildlife. If you have headphones on, I don't know if you guys can hear it, but if you have headphones on while you're playing this, especially if the music turned down, it is just so creepy sounding. But yeah, so now that this is all hooked up and running and labeled, we need to start getting the actual trains and the train stations set up. So let's run over back to the main base and kind of start getting that going. Okay, so the stations are very straightforward, right? And here's kind of how I'm running all the rails right here. So again, 5 stations, because that's where this is going to come in. This is going to be the Swamp Bauxite In track, right? And what we need to do right now, honestly, is we need to send these trains out. So I'm going to do, because this is such a long train line in terms of distance, I'm going to send 2, right? So train menu, edit timetable. We want Swamp Box out, Swamp Box in. Save that, turn on. We'll get out and we'll kind of let that do its thing. And then we'll just throw another one down. And they'll kind of space themselves over time. It's 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So again, we'll kind of do the same thing. I wonder if at some point they'll let you do kind of like custom timings, you know, where you like put a delay at a station or something. Actually, I don't even know if that already exists. Maybe I should have checked in the train itself. Yeah, I don't know if you can put, I don't have just like a piece of rail somewhere, do I? Here, I'm going to do this real quick. I don't know. Edit timetable. Yeah, like, I don't know if you can just put a custom delay, you know? Because that would be a good way to kind of ensure you have consistent train schedules and all that kind of stuff, right? Like if you want these trains to be, like, what are you? Yeah, because I don't think you can put in, like, wait at this train station, you know? And I don't think you can do it from here. Timetable. Yeah. Yeah, so that'd be kind of cool though. So you can kind of ensure that your trains would be, you know, like if it takes 2 minutes round trip, you make one train wait so that one train leaves every minute, so that in theory you have one train offloading while the other train's loading, and then they, you know, in essence you only have a 1 minute train length or whatever. But anyway, I need to start building this out. We're gonna get the bauxite in. We need somewhere to process the bauxite, and we don't have room off that way, so we're gonna have to go this way. And I already kind of thought about that, but there is something I want to test because I don't know if this is gonna work. Right? Visually, I think it works in terms of like actually being able to place stuff, but I don't know if we're going to be able to. Yeah, that was what I was afraid of. I don't know. Okay, what I think I'm going to do here, let me make sure I'm only getting these. I think we're going to go up slightly. So what does that mean? Let's grab one of these. And let's grab one of these. And we're going to go just up a little bit. So like on this level. You know, something like this. And we'll just kind of build all this out. And then maybe we'll do something with like these ramps or something. You know what I mean? So it kind of looks like a natural maybe transition. And that gives us plenty of clearance too. Oh, by the way, if it looks kind of dark in here, I do have Lumen on. I've been kind of digging around on Reddit and Steam and all kind of these dark corners of the web to see how people have been using Lumen and some custom Lumen settings. So let me know what you guys think. I'll tell you right now, I'm getting 50 FPS on ultra settings with my 4080. But yeah, I think it can look pretty good, especially if we start getting into night. And I'm definitely, like I said, I'm going to design based on Lumen and kind of making this area kind of look cool with a like a day-night cycle. You know, like I want it to look good in the day and look good at night, right? So yeah, so I need to build this out more, and we need to start putting these modules down and kind of see how everything fits. And I think what we're going to do though is, you know, kind of just, there's going to be a little gap here, but I think we're going to have to do this in a way where it's, there's going to be a gap here, and I'll probably, rather than having them stacked like this just kind of worked out. These ones are going to kind of be on a line since they're on a whole extra level. So let me tinker around with that because I don't know exactly how I'm going to end up doing this, but I think it'll still look good. I think it'll look very, very busy. And yeah, it did end up getting a little bit busy. But I think it looks pretty crazy, honestly, and not in a bad way, right? So there's quite a bit to show you. I mean, on one hand, it was quick in theory because I was just placing down blueprints. But on the other hand, there's a lot of stuff that kind of I had to think about. But let's talk about it, right? So again, same setup, right? Every 3 blueprints is 1 train car, right? These are formulated to take in 600 bauxite, right? So 1 train car is 3 modules, right? So again, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and you'll notice we have kind of an odd number because we were getting to the end of our building here. So I kind of ran out, like there's not enough room to put a module right here without it overhanging. So these 2 and this one, so these 3 are 1 module. So that's 1 train car's worth, and it's split, which is something new. I haven't had to do that yet. So we're thinking about how that's going to be working. And you notice there's our trains coming in, and I did something. I'm messing around with the train stations too. Again, they're going to be part of the design now, right? So first off, let's look at the newest train station. And before, what I've done is I've sent everything down below to logisticize over there. But because this is like the logistics floor and we're going up, for this one, I have everything coming over onto this platform right here. where it's all kind of going to where it needs to go. And I'm doing something a little bit different. Whereas before I would just kind of feed each line right next to it. For these, because we have infrastructure right below us, I had to kind of stack them up, which is why you'll see like double lines, and then one just kind of drops down and feeds like normal, right? And so it's a very similar thing to over here. And again, I'm just trying to dodge the existing infrastructure, you know? So, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. You know, these ones were a little bit different because we were able to just run them in this dead space in the middle. So, kind of cool, kind of different. I will spoil this for you right now. We do not have coal and water. We just absolutely do not. And I'm going to talk about that at the end of this video, though. So, stay tuned for that, because that'll be coming up very soon. But it's a little bit more than we anticipated. I've also been spending a little bit of time getting some of this stuff all decorated, by the way, down here. So all the trains down here are looking good. They're all set up with their infrastructure, their architecture, their supports, you know, all the way into that, all of that right there. So pretty happy, you know, starting to kind of knock this, like check it off from the list of things to do. But yeah, but something else I was kind of playing around with, right? And it kind of, you know, I wanted this idea that we're in this like real big infrastructure, and like there's like tunnels and everything's kind of flowing in and around each other. And so what I did is, if we go to the end here, I kind of made like a subway tunnel type deal for the trains. So we're using like a lot of these curved quarter pipe foundations, and I got some lights on here. Now this is the color of the bauxite, right? It's like the bauxite light. So all these, you know, they're just coming in, and you know, they got their own little exit tunnel on the way out. And I just think that's kind of cool looking, you know, and there's enough room on the inside and the outside in different spots to throw some walkways in. So, you know, maybe we'll kind of incorporate that a little bit, because again, I want there to be like, if we go back to over here, like these walkways. And, you know, I did a little bit over here too, where I kind of added these central walkways where you can kind of get back and forth. But yeah, like who knows exactly how it's all going to end up, but this is kind of the idea. Now, there's a couple things that we need to talk about when it comes to coal and water. Number one, I'm not bringing in enough coal, and I don't even have enough coal being mined right now, but there's a few places we can really get it. And for the most part, it's all over here, right? We have 1, 2, 3, 4 coal nodes in the pink forest, but we also have another coal node. You kind of notice this train right here. If you'll recall, when we built this, I don't know if it's like right here. I think it's right here, right? This should turn. Yeah. So right about here, there's another coal node, right? And we're definitely gonna need that. But I also noticed something that we are gonna need. In fact, let me go to this first. If you look at the miner Mark III, you might notice on the far left there something that we need that we only have 20 of: turbo motors. I am not gonna start a turbo motor factory right now. That's not gonna happen. What I will do is make a turbo motor module, right? We have, these are automated, these are automated, these are automated, these are automated. These are not automated. But looking at these recipes, I think we can get them automated pretty quickly. We're bringing in motors, we're bringing in rotors, we can make electromagnetic control rods, and I think we're already making radio control units. So why would we not do that, right? So what I'm gonna do, because if I'm gonna start spamming Mark III miners everywhere, I need to at least have, you know, a personal stash, right? So luckily we have just a little bit of space. And also, by the way, I'm like messing around with the decor. You might have noticed, right? Adding more this kind of design up there. I'm gonna end up doing something for like the vertical part of this. Haven't got there yet, but you know, kind of like encase this entrance area, and it's all dark because we've got lumen on and all that kind of stuff. But down here, I think we have just enough space right in this little area right here where we can just build a little turbo motor, you know, module, so to speak. So I'm going to get working on that and figure out how I'm going to move stuff around. And then we'll talk coal and water. Okay, so as promised, I'm going to talk this through with you guys. So again, we're bringing in motors and we're bringing in rotors, right? Those are just coming from the starter base. We're making them over there. We're bringing them in. We're using them. Electromagnetic control rods. These are actually really easy. AI limiters and stators. We're also bringing these in from the starter base. So this is where we use them. And we're getting all this stuff off of, I kind of had to add in a little bit of infrastructure here to get all this stuff in. But this is where these programmable splitters and these smart splitters kind of working in tandem are coming to use. And I mentioned that we're making radio control units kind of like right down, like right in this area, right behind the train spiral. So that's where we're doing all the crystal processing. And that meant that I didn't want to like necessarily run a belt from there way over here. So I just grabbed a whole bunch and kind of just like filled up a box. And I figure that should give us enough eventual turbo motors that we can build all the Mark III miners we need. When we start needing turbo motors for actual production, then we'll make a dedicated factory for that. Because again, we're kind of just still operating in the, these materials are used for infrastructure, and we've gotten pretty far with that. You know what I mean? So like we've got plenty of infrastructure that we've built using pretty much that guy. Like that has been sourcing everything with a few other factories here and there for other things, right? So that's going on there. But now we need to talk coal and water, right? And I've got a whole like little slideshow billboard built out that we can kind of talk about what we need and the plan to get it all. Okay, so first things first. Each aluminum module needs 200 bauxite, 200 water, 120 coal. Now this is essentially each blueprint. Each blueprint needs this much. And we have 39 blueprints, right? So we need 4,680 coal per minute. Now, these are all the sources we have, right? 2 from the Blue Crater Lake that we're already bringing in. And all of these red forest things, these different, nodes in here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 over here, gives us 5,100. So plenty of coal. We just need to bring it all in. But water, we technically need 7,800 per minute, right? That's if you're going off of, we need 200 water per minute per module, per blueprint, right? But we know, and if we look, we're not doing that, right? What we're doing is we're feeding 6 modules, 6 blueprints with a single 600 water line. So that means each one's only technically getting 100. And why is that, right? Because we kind of figured, and we were kind of testing, even though there's an on-paper requirement of 200 water per minute, we're getting 120 water residually from this process that we're feeding back. Meaning, we should, once this fills up with the 200 water per minute, enough to get this guy flowing, we only need net 80 per minute, which means if we give this 100, that's plenty of water. So what does that mean for us, right? That means we're going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5, 600 pipes, or 600 pipes, right? 4,200 water. And if we look over here, this is what we actually need if we are only feeding them 80 per minute, which is the net, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pipes. Pretty easy. Now, where are we going to get this water from, right? We got a couple options. Number one, we have this guy right here. Something we piped up in another episode. There's almost 2,000 right here. I'm already stealing one of these pipes to feed some of that bauxite, right? That pipe right there is feeding this module right here. These modules right here are getting water from our pipeline over there. Now, I don't want to use all of this water because I'm kind of thinking about saving that for this, right? All the pure stuff. But we could make the argument that we also have this water right here. This is only 1,600 water though. right? So that's like 2.5 pipes, something like that. That might be enough. And it would be somewhat trivial to pipe that over here and up onto this level for all of the pure copper, for the pure resources that we're making, right? So that's something to think about. And if we did that, this is like 3.5 pipes that we'd get. The rest would have to come from over here because this is just the closest water source. Now, I did this a few episodes ago, and I don't think I ever talked about it. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. But you remember our pipeline here where we're already getting water from the crater. So we do have water in here that's not necessarily being used. But what I've also done, maybe I did talk about this. If I already talked about this, let me know. But I'm already starting to kind of work on the infrastructure to get water out of this little lake here. We got rows of 10 water extractors. So that's 2 full pipes. 2 more full pipes. So we can have 4 full water pipes. And what I can do, what I kind of put over here is, what did I say? So we're getting right now from the resource well, the water extractor down there, we're getting 2 525 per minute water. That's what we have in here. So what that means is I can bring 4 more full pipes over here on this pipeline and maybe a little bit extra to kind of fill these up to make them 600. The other option is I don't use these at all. I don't use them for like these two. I don't use them for the bauxite, and I just build more over there. And I was thinking if I do that, which I'm probably going to because it makes the most sense, and I run over here, I don't necessarily want to go out and down, and you can kind of see like the pipes over there. I don't want to necessarily follow that method and bring it over, right? Especially because we're going to be working on these modules and those, they all, this is where all the water needs to go, right? But what I could probably do is if I bring them down, I can kind of make like a pipeline, maybe across or above the trains here, that kind of like comes over here and then distributes itself amongst all the modules as necessary. I think that could look really cool. And then maybe I would just adjust where these pipes are going to maybe feed these modules over here, right? And again, it'd be all gravity fed. So we wouldn't have to worry about headlift or anything, assuming we don't put any buffers below the pipeline, as we learned while I was doing that. So that's kind of the idea there. And then as far as coal is concerned, you might have noticed that we have quite the coal need, and we have a lot of coal that we can possibly get, right? Whoop, let's not get killed by a train there. So if we look back here, we have all of these, right? And if you're counting this like I am, 1, 2, that's already accounted for. But then we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and a half train cars that we need to bring in from the Red Forest. So I was kind of thinking we have all of this space right here, right? What if I kind of do, because we can utilize the same infrastructure. We can just branch off out there, do a little coal run, come back the same way, except that when it comes in here, we can maybe have it split off, you know, like I don't know, split off this way or something, let's just say. Something like that. It splits off, it comes up and onto another train stations that's somewhere in here, right? Kind of above all this infrastructure, which I think would look kind of cool because it'd be up here with all of this, right? So if we have a train come up here, maybe it runs this way, so I have enough space for all the stations. Then what it could do is, because it needs to get back onto that line, right? What it could do is possibly follow the modules here. So it follows this diagonal, comes across, and maybe even like crosses over the middle here. So we'd have a train coming back this way. I don't know at what height. You know, it'd probably be at this height. So I might have to like lower these a little bit more. But I think it'd be super cool to have a walkway and then have a train going right down the middle of this. Especially, you know, if it's at that height. And then all it would have to do is figure out how to come over this and get back onto this line. And then it could continue its journey. I think that would be super cool. I love the idea of crisscrossing trains. You guys know this. This is not a secret, but I have to kind of think it all out, which is why I'm not including it in this episode, because it's going to be a little bit more than I am willing to work on in such a short amount of time in between episodes. But yeah, definitely can reuse this infrastructure, which again, that's kind of the whole point, you know? I don't have a bypass built on here. God, this looks really good though. Like with Lumen, looks really nice. So I can build, you know, I could build anything. In fact, I think the impure's right here, right? Impure node. I don't even need to hit that one. There's one over there, and the rest are all just kind of scattered throughout the place, right? So I'd kind of just like this is one of the other ones that I was talking about, kind of like over near our bauxite station. I had also thought maybe if it comes up, kind of grabs everything and goes out that way, but I don't know. It's just, we've already got all this infrastructure, and it's just a matter of hooking it all back together. But yeah, you know, kind of, I don't know, just kind of do something where I cut the trains in a different manner, reattach them, run everything to stations, and then just send it all back. Because we got like all this, again, like infrastructure, boom, like there's a miner right there. We can do another little train station over here. And because this is all going the same direction, right? It's not, what is that? What the hell? Is there a bean somewhere? Because it's all going one way, we can kind of just get back onto the track anywhere, you know? So that's kind of the idea. But again, I got to figure out the logistics, because I know we have like a pure node somewhere out here. Yeah, right there. Right, so we got to like get stuff way over here too. And I don't know what the most efficient way to do that is. Maybe we don't do it in an efficient way. You know, maybe I just kind of cut right off there, come in this direction, kind of follow the river here, the stream, and we just kind of belt that over. That is always an option. I mean, I like to put the train stations closer to the miners, but we have belts for a reason, and we can just move the belts to wherever we need to go, you know? So, again, a lot of logistics to figure out, and I'm still trying to figure it out. But that should all be next episode. And then once we do that, right? So kind of once we got this aluminum project with a pin in it, you know, like 90% done, let's say, we need to start kind of thinking about the future, right? So I guess we can talk future plans real quick. Now, if we go in here and I just steal some power from somewhere, let's say from right here, and we take a little look-see. We are at 60% of our power. Now, I know for a fact that once we start getting nuclear, there's going to be... That's just generating the nuclear power itself is going to be a lot of power. So what I'm thinking, and I haven't done this yet, but if we go into a MAM... Oh, cool. And we go into what? Am I missing something? Yeah, sulfur, right? We have rocket fuel. We have ionized fuel. I think we can do a rocket fuel plant, right? Like, I don't think that would be crazy. I'd have to get some packaged turbo fuel, but I could probably just buy that with tickets rather than like making something. But you know, there's like a few things that we have to do, right? Because on one hand, we could maybe retrofit our existing power plant turbo fuel to rocket fuel. I don't like that as much. I don't like that idea, especially when we have up here. Here, let's run over there real quick so I can talk about this. So you might be familiar with this kind of northern coast area. To kind of show you, like, there's our main base. This is where we are. You notice a lot of this hasn't been touched yet, right? But what this has is a lot of this. Oil, crude oil, normal, impure. Oh, sorry, there's 2 impures and a normal. I think there's probably more. Let's look. Yeah, I mean, normal, impure, pure, right? So one of the things we don't have, dedicated at least, we don't have rocket fuel. We don't have plastic and rubber, like fully automated and ready to use, right? So one of the things I was thinking, we're going to need supplemental power. So we might as well use this area, because there's also a lot of other resources around here, and kind of make a rocket fuel plant in this just like gorgeous northern coast area. And I don't know the design. I don't know how we're going to do it. And I'm going to have to plan it all out, but that's kind of the thought process. So short term, finish aluminum. Medium term, get rocket fuel going. And then maybe start unlocking some milestones and then go full nuclear, because I just want to. I want to use all the uranium in the game to make nuclear, with a little bit set aside to make nuclear weapons, of course. So, all right, guys, that's kind of the lowdown on the plan, and that's going to be it for this episode. So I hope you are all enjoying this. I hope you guys like the way things are looking, because I do like the way they're looking, and I just, looking at this now, I see so many possibilities for the future, and I'm excited to kind of get there, especially with like a train line going right through here. I think that's a no-brainer to run a train right down the middle here. So anyways, guys, thank you all so much, and we'll see you in the next one.